morning, I want to continue talking. This month, being the new year, we've been talking about affirming good things and seeing things in the light. And with that, we've talked a lot about seeing a circumstance or a situation in the light, and by that, not letting our own human emotion come into it. So if there's a dispute you're having with your neighbor or a coworker, rather than seeing and asking for a resolution the way that you want it, just see it in the light. Close your eyes, visualize God with his light beaming, and that circumstance or situation is taken care of to the resolution that God has in mind. And so we know, too, being human beings, it's a very hard thing to do to just step out of the way and let go and let God take over. But it's a very, very necessary thing. And through that, we see definitely the light of God taking care of all these circumstances and situations. So today, our affirmation is, I open my mind and heart to dynamic new ideas. And indeed, this is a great time of year to be addressing this and to accepting this reality and to be also working towards this. The fact that dynamic new ideas are all around us. And this is very much tied into what we were talking about in the last couple of weeks about seeing a circumstance or situation in the light and just getting out of the way and letting God do his work. Because that's a new idea or circumstance or situation that you may not have thought of. And so just by letting God take over and do what he needs to do, we are allowing these dynamic new ideas to come in and resolve these circumstances or situations in a way that we wouldn't have even thought of. And this also goes to new opportunities and new ideas. So much of the time, we're taught as we go through the phases of growing up in life that we're assigned a certain lot in life, or this is what we can do, and that we need to sort of wear horse blinders and understand that these are the things that we do in life, and this is all that there is. And so we sort of get bound to this limited thinking, when the reality is we don't need to be bound to any kind of limited thinking at all. We always need to, in fact, be open to these dynamic new ideas. As we get older and we leave home, there's a lot of people who may have never had to cook for themselves. But, when you're a young man in your own apartment and you're going to starve or learn to cook, you generally learn to cook rather than starve. And, all kinds of new things that, when you were younger, you were limited. You were thinking, well, I don't do that. I don't know how to do that. And yet, when you're forced to be in that situation, you know what? These dynamic new things happen, and you learn to sew a button on your shirt. You learn to cook. You learn to fend for yourself. And this is also a wonderful thing, too, as you think, probably as you entered the workforce in life. There were things that you looked at and saw people doing, and you would think, well, I can never do that. That's way beyond me. But of course, and I'm sure many of us can attest that we have had training or just the need to learn. We have learned new things. Our world opened up because we let our limited thinking end. And a lot of it is out of necessity. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and indeed it is. Because when you need to do something, when you need to learn, a new job skill or homemaking thing, that's going to be the difference between pretty much living and not living. We learn it because we expand our mind. We let go of our limited thinking and we allow dynamic new ideas to come in. So our question this week, hopefully everybody gets to take a few moments and have some reflective time during the week to stop and think about things. Ask yourself this question: am I bound by limited thinking? Do I see all opportunities? As many of you know, I work in a small business. I have a small business. And so a lot of our employees are young people who just come out of training colleges. And I'm amazed so many of the time these young people say, oh, I can't do that. I don't know that. They have these horse blinders on. And of course, you need to open their minds and expand it to, of course you can. You have to stop being limited by this, thinking that you think I can only do this because that's all I was ever shown. And you need to see that there are so many opportunities out there. So we all need to open our mind and our heart to all the dynamic new ideas. And this is a great thing as we go into the new year, when you look around and maybe there are things that you saw last year that you were unhappy with and you didn't know how to overcome it or get beyond it. This is the time to open your mind to these dynamic new ideas. In the book of Isaiah, God had said, "For behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind." So we know even in the scriptures, even way back in the Old Testament days, these are a lot of ideas and things that Christ was talking about, that, you know what, you can go into the new and you can move forward, and don't be bogged down by the things that happened in the past. And we talk about that a lot in New Thought. And I'm sure that everybody's seen all these various wonderful quotes about, living today, that the past is gone and the future isn't here yet, but today is the present. And that's why they call it a present, because it's a gift. So rather than being so constrained by, the things that happened in the past. Maybe last year, you didn't know how to cook or how to sew on a button, or you didn't know how to use a new computer program in your office or in something that you need in life. Just because you couldn't do it doesn't mean it can't be done. These are the times, and especially I always think the first month of the year is a good time that we always talk about new things. This is the time to stop being bound by limited thinking and to see all the opportunities. If that circumstance and situation is there, I'm going to tackle it. There's nothing holding me back. And certainly, I'm not going to let my own thinking hold me back. I'm not going to let these thoughts that, I don't know how to do that, therefore it can't be done, hold me back. Because this is an opportunity, and I am no longer bound by limited thinking, because I open my heart and mind to all dynamic new ideas. And so, as we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, when you have a circumstance or situation, maybe, if you had this new skill, or this circumstance would change for the better, or, you didn't have this conflict with this person in your life, so much would be great for you. See it in the light and then step out of the way and let God do his work. And in that process, let's not add our own human element of thinking. We gave the great analogy about thinking that they needed to move, and so they put their house up on the market and it never sells. And then, a short time later, a wonderful, wonderful new promotion comes right where the person is. And so if they had moved and left the area, that opportunity would have never come along. So even though the human desire was to, sell the house and do this, God had bigger, better plans. And so a lot of times we need to just see a circumstance or situation in the light. Just visualize God bathing that situation in light. But don't preconceive how the situation's going to end. Just get out of the way and let God take care of it. Because in the end, he knows how things are to be resolved so much better than we do. So as you go through the week, look at every circumstance and every situation with an open mind and an open heart, and see that all these dynamic new ideas, they're there for you. They're there for you and you and you, for all of us. And we need to let go of our limiting thinking and boldly move forward with all these wonderful new ideas, and see everything in the light, and let God guide and direct you to your very highest good. And the good news is that we can all open our hearts and minds. We can expand our spiritual vision and encompass a wider view. A fresh perspective allows us to perceive new and unexpected ideas. We need not be bound by limited thinking. We see opportunities we may have previously met through our connection with the divine. And that's what we get when we meditate, when we pray with God, when we do things like our responsive reading. These are all the times that we connect with the divine, because we know that through our connection with the divine, all things are possible. So as you go through the week, know that all things are possible, and open yourselves to new and wonderful ideas, and know that you're not limited by the past. You're not limited by what you think you can't do.